Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. And with that, I want to welcome you guys into the Friday edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we have made it here, even though it is soggy across Mississippi and Alabama, parts of Alabama this morning. And this is going to be a great show as we are going to be talking about a little bit of college football with Vanderbilt and Kentucky. And we're also going to be talking about the National Day of today and the national history of today. Heath, how are things with you up in Memphis?
Stephen, I got to tell you, man, I'm going to Key West here in a couple of hours. I don't give a jack diddly poo what's happening in the world. I'm ready to get on the plane. I'm ready to be sitting in some sunshine. I'm tired of this rain. I've been sitting in the rain, as Kid Rock said, in 3 dang days. I hadn't seen the sun. So I'm ready. I'm ready to get out of here, man. I'm ready to fly to Saint somewhere, right?
So, Heath, briefly, let's go ahead and do the National Day of today. And today is November the 21st, and it is National Gingerbread Cookie Day.
They're fun to look at. They're fun to decorate and play with, but I'm not a fan of the gingerbread cookie. What about you?
Don't like gingerbread, no.
Yeah, I'll build the house. I'll make it look pretty. I don't want to eat it, though.
Yeah. All right. It is also now, this is a big discussion about whether it is called dressing or stuffing. If you are north of the Mason-Dixon line, it is called stuffing. If you are south, it is called dressing. Today is National Stuffing/Dressing Day.
I think you meant to say National Dressing/Stuffing Day.
Yes. So, what are your thoughts on dressing?
I'm a fan of it, man. Sometimes I want gravy on it. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to mix my cranberries with it. Sometimes I don't.
Yes.
Sometimes, maybe a little cream corn with it. Sometimes I don't. I don't want green bean casserole. All right, Stephen, green bean casserole. Got a quick story. My son, I won't say the teacher's name. Not a fan of her. He's a freshman in high school. He actually does like her. He doesn't like the class. He's not a fan of the class. And so, anyway, she's like, I can't wait for green bean casserole. One of the kids in the back yelled, you would like green bean casserole. Look, I think green bean casserole is mid. Like all that great food out there, I'm not going to waste the space on green bean casserole. That's just me. I mean, I'd rather eat 5 more deviled eggs than to have green bean casserole. I'd rather have some more stuffing and cranberry. I'd rather have whatever. So what about you? Are you big on the green bean casserole?
Dude, you've got to eat your vegetables, my man.
I love vegetables, and I do eat my vegetables. But I'm just kind of like, green bean casserole is okay. It's not one of those things where I look at it like, oh, that's disgusting. I don't want that.
Right.
I'm like, oh, green bean casserole. Okay, what else we got?
Yeah.
I don't know. You got all that great food out there. I just don't want to waste the space on green bean casserole. That's me.
All right. Before we get to our guest, I have to bring this up, Heath, because let me ask you this. How old were you in 1980?
I was 5 years old. I was 4, getting ready to turn 5. My birthday is at the second week of December, so I was 4 years old, and I turned 5 with just a couple of weeks left in the year. So 4 years old.
Can you tell me what major TV event happened on November the 21st of 1980? And if you are over the age of 45, you should know this.
It's probably J.R. Ewing getting shot on Dallas.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a big deal. Like,
all right. So,
Stephen, I got to touch on that real quick for the folks that are listening that don't understand how big a deal that was. Like, they had to fly the episode out of the country, lock and key, and put it in a safe over in England.
Yeah.
Because people are wanting to know who did that. And then the studio went back and shot it where there was like 3 or 4 different people who could have shot JR.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of played with the storyline. But the TV show Dallas, it is the highest rated episode ever. And for you don't understand, there wasn't Netflix, there wasn't Hulu, there wasn't Tubi and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You had 3 channels to watch. You only had 3 channels to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Cable television was kind of new. Like, hardly anybody had cable television.
Yeah.
Like, it was unheard of. So when I say everybody in America was watching Dallas, like, everybody on this continent and other continents were watching Dallas to see who shot JR. It was, there were shirts printed up, Time Magazine wrote articles, newspapers. Yep. It shut the world down. That's how big that was.
The Dallas episode that revealed who shot JR, that was titled Who Done It, aired tonight back in 1980. And get this, Heath, like you talked about, it was a cultural phenomenon because globally, not just in the U.S., but globally, 350 million people tuned in to see that episode.
I would like to know what the world population was in 1980. I might use my Google Pass on that. So you said 350 million people?
Globally. Mm-hmm.
World population in 1980.
Yep.
4 billion people. So almost 10% of the people on Earth.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost 10% of the people on Earth were all watching the exact same thing at the exact same. Those are better numbers than the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's how much better numbers than the Super Bowl. That's what that was.
And back in 1980, just think about that. Wow.
Oh, yeah. And here's another thing, Stephen. You didn't have a VCR. You didn't have DVR back then. You couldn't record it to watch it again. So people plan date night vacations, having babies, surgeries, work, whatever. Everyone planned around that.
Yes.
To see what happened.
All right. So, Heath, are you ready to start the Stingray Show and talk about the potential of Vanderbilt? Yes, Vanderbilt having an outside shot to still make the playoffs, going up against a red-hot Kentucky team who has won 3 straight games.
Dude, you got to give it up to Stoops. I mean, just when you think he's done and he's played his cards out, he's done it. Hey, we could talk about football. We could talk about QS. I'm okay if we talk about Dallas. I'm okay if we talk about fried bologna on this Friday. Yes. I'm down for anything today.
The Thanksgiving holiday is fastly approaching, and if you have a large family coming to your house, let the Coker Market take the hassle out of the Thanksgiving dinner for you. You can order from the Coker Market smoked turkey breast, smoked half a ham, a Boston butt, wings by the dozen, tenders by the dozen, or sausage balls. Now with casseroles, which you just take and bake, sweet potato casserole, cornbread dressing, and green bean casserole, they also offer baked beans, potato salad, and yeast rolls. You can find them at County Road 140 in Coker, Alabama at the intersection of Romulus Road at the four-way intersection, or you can call to get your order done at 205-331-5066. Once again, that is 331-5066. Let the Coker Market take the hassle out of the Thanksgiving dinner for you this holiday season. This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, the Wildcats of Kentucky take on the Vanderbilt Commodores tomorrow in a huge game because Kentucky is looking to continue the momentum of 3 straight wins on the season as they sit here with a record of 5-5. Their opponent this weekend, the Vanderbilt Commodores, still have an outside shot of making the playoffs with a record of 8-2. We're going to be joined by Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 and with Vandy 247, and then we are going to be joined by Nick Rouch from Kentucky Sports Radio on this edition of the Stingray Show to talk about the Cats and the Commodores right now.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, I want to welcome you inside the Stingray Show once again, and this is the Vanderbilt and Kentucky preview show. And Heath, we've already talked a little bit about this game in the open and the pre-show, so let's go on ahead and get to our guest and not keep him waiting any longer. Here he is from Vandy 247, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Here is our good friend, Chris Lee. Chris, how are things with you as Kentucky and Vanderbilt set to take the field tomorrow for this matchup?
Things are well. Going to be an interesting game tomorrow. It's I was going to say rare that Vanderbilt plays a game of this significance this late in the year, but I would say it's unprecedented. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to be at that one tomorrow.
And Chris, let me also say this. A couple of weeks ago, before the Auburn game, this looked like a yawner, but now Kentucky is on a 3-game win streak, beating Florida, Auburn, and then Tennessee Tech. Talk about what you feel like from the Kentucky side of this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had Mark Stoops dead and buried, which I thought was a little bit unfair.
Yes.
But it was what it was. And, you know, you go back and they get beat 35-3 by Georgia. They have a bye week. Coming off, they get beat 35-13 by a South Carolina team that wasn't that good. And then they they play Texas. They should have won the game. They didn't. Yeah. Kind of wrote that off as a little bit of a fluke after they go to they host Tennessee and get beat 56-34. Then they go to Auburn, and granted, Auburn was, wobbly, but so was Kentucky. Win that one 10-3, smack Florida 38-7, and then beat Tennessee Tech, overmatched, but also unbeaten in its classification, 42-10 last week. So I think the thing that's kind of impressive, and again, I kind of wrote this off as a fluke for them a little bit because Texas is just weird, especially on the road. But they gave up 179 yards to Texas, 241 to Auburn, 247 to Florida, and 264 to Tennessee Tech. They gave up 504 to Tennessee. And those are some flawed offenses, but the thing is, that's 4 out of 5 games. It's hard to play well defensively that long.
Yeah.
They've got Cutter Boley, who's doing some good things for him. It does some bad things for them, too. But there's enough in their last 5 weeks since that Georgia game that make them interesting. Now, Vanderbilt is going to be more fresh than it's been in a while. Came off a bye week, off a meat grinder of a run of the schedule. And so I think that helps Vanderbilt more than Kentucky. Does Kentucky get, sometimes you see one of these games where the dam bursts a little bit, right? When you play that many games, the other team's fresher. We could see that. But the way Kentucky's playing on both sides of the ball, and by the way, 395 yards or more total offense in 4 of those 5 games is intriguing.
Chris Lee's our guest from Vandy 247 and also Southeastern 16. Chris, it's good to see you. It's been a while, brother.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, we got a young quarterback and an old quarterback. Is this officially, or we got some courtroom drama coming, is this officially going to be Diego Pavia's last home game before we see some court drama and maybe get him another year of eligibility, which I think we're all hoping for?
Well, I would be on board with all that. But I think there was a possibility he could get another year. I just know that. I won't tell my source, but I'll just say it's as good as you can get on that. But I think Diego made a decision early in the year not to do that, just to go on and go pro and see what he can make at the next level, whether that's the NFL, which I think is where he thinks he can go. And I think he might get drafted at this point, honestly.
Right.
Or whether that's Canada, where I think he would be an exceptionally good fit up there. I know this because I watch the CFL a lot, having a nephew that plays there. But, yeah, I think this is it for him. They have pivoted. They're going all in to get Jared Curtis, who's a Georgia commit, but the number 3 player in the class. He's a local kid. Some people think he's the best prospect ever in the state of Tennessee. They believe they've got a really good shot there. It remains to be seen. Signing day is not too long from now, but I think Vanderbilt's head is set on finding its next guy, whether that's Curtis or a guy in the portal. And I think Diego is set on that next stop of Pro Bowl.
So, Chris, I do have to ask you, with all of the head coaching carousel, is there any word, because of what the job that Clark Lee has done at Vanderbilt, is there any word about him looking elsewhere, anybody contacting him, or Vanderbilt going out and extending Clark Lee?
Yeah, there's been a rumor that Clark Lee and the chancellor agreed to a deal in principle on Monday. Nothing's been signed yet, and I think we keep waiting for that. That makes people a little bit uneasy.
Right.
I don't know if they're trying to do something, a splash situation like on ESPN or SEC Game Day tomorrow. That would be completely speculative. That would be kind of un-Vanderbilt, too, to think that far ahead. But for whatever reason, we don't have anything that's in writing and concrete by this point, which I guess you could say is a little concerning. I think the issues right now are staff budget, maybe some facility stuff that they just worked through. The thing is, when you are a coach at Vanderbilt, and Clark Lee learned this from Tim Corbin, they are good friends.
Yes.
When you have the hammer, you had better swing it hard, because Vanderbilt doesn't often just volunteer, hey, Clark, walk in my office. We're going to give you this new facility. That doesn't happen that way at Vanderbilt. So I think the longer this plays out, unless there's a scenario where like he's the lead candidate at another place, which I don't think is the case. I think he's on the radar, maybe on people's lists of a half dozen people. But I think unless there's a situation where Clark is the guy somewhere else, and there's real leverage. I think they're just waiting for it to play out, and I think it will. I think he'll end up here next year and for years to come, but it's not official yet.
So, Chris, when you look at the matchup with Vanderbilt and Kentucky, where are you most concerned that Kentucky can take advantage of Vanderbilt?
Well, I think the biggest concern if you're Vanderbilt is your defense hasn't been very good in a while. You got just ripped to shreds by Auburn, and that was a different situation. I think Auburn, and I told people this before the game, they didn't believe me. I said, "Hey, look, you're changing coaches, you're getting Hugh Freeze out of the stranglehold on play calling or whatever that was, and you got dudes in Singleton and Coleman and Simmons and guys like that can make plays." And Auburn, gouged him for 564, something like that, 540. It was over 500, and so that's been a trend for a while. They've been giving up some yards.
Right.
I think they were more banged up than most people publicly knew, and so again, I think the time off will help them. But I think right now, if you're Vanderbilt and Clark Lee, you spent 2 long weeks looking in the mirror, going, why are guys having career days against us? What can we do about it? Is that us? Is that them? Is that health? Is that, when you got a defensive minded head coach, I think he spent a lot of his last 2 weeks probably saying, what can we fix? And so I think whether they can fix that or not, really a lot of tomorrow's may be more about Vanderbilt than it is Kentucky, at least in that regard.
Chris, as we head down the stretch, no one's 100%. None of these teams are 100%. We're seeing more depth. We're seeing more of the younger guys, but the younger guys are starting to figure things out. Where's Vanderbilt health-wise heading into this game on both sides of the ball?
I mean, for their public injuries all year, they have been in as good a shape as I ever remember. They've got one guy, Issa Wataha, who's about a 6'7", 320-pound German kid who's super talented. And was really starting to learn to play football. They think he's an NFL defensive lineman. He's played 15 plays all year, so he's out. Other than that, the guys that are on the injury list are third-teamers at best. Now, I think they had some guys defensively that were banged up worse than people knew, weren't even on the injury report. But in terms of guys being out and questionable, they're in tremendous shape. And I do think that the bumps and bruises by the guys, especially in the defensive front, had a chance maybe to heal in the off weeks. I guess we'll find out.
And I got to ask you, you talked about Diego Pavia and has maybe an opportunity to come back for one more year, but wants to test the waters in the NFL. How do we start the petition to keep Diego at Vanderbilt? Look, I've never seen people adore a player so much since Tim Tebow at Florida.
Yeah.
Diego is that guy in the SEC this year. Yeah. Everyone loves Diego. Everyone's watching Diego. Diego brings a lot of eyeballs, a lot of excitement. He brings a lot of smiles. He can't take that away from everybody. Let's keep him. We don't want to see him playing at the Browns. We don't want him at Shador battling out for a start. We want to see him at Vanderbilt.
I don't know that everybody loves him. I've gotten a lot of messages. I've tweeted some stuff out about how amazing he's been this year, and boy, you get some blowback of this and that, and I know people that are fans of other teams that won't root for him because they don't like the brashness. I think it's harmless fun for the most part. Other than how he handled some of the stuff with Alabama, and there were definitely two sides of the story of that one.
Yeah.
I haven't had much of an issue with it. I wrote after that Alabama game, he needs to tone it down a little bit. He's giving bulletin board material.
Yeah.
And I get the confidence coming out of you, but at some point there are limits to things. I'm with you. I mean, I'd love to cover the guy forever, but it is getting a little absurd how long some of these guys are playing. I think there's fatigue at that too, but I will say this, you mentioned Tim Tebow a minute ago. One of the differences is Tim Tebow came into a program that already had a history of winning and competing for national titles. I don't know that we've ever seen a football player flip a situation in the SEC the way that he has. If you had told me a year and a half ago, before kickoff of the 2024 season, that they were going to a bowl that year and they'd get to Thanksgiving almost of the next year with playoff contention, I mean, I would have said you are out of your freaking mind. There's no way that's going to happen.
Yes.
I think, the stats are great and everything. The play on the field is unbelievable, but the way he has flipped the mentality. I mean, Vanderbilt hasn't won games consistently for 80 years or whatever it's been for a reason, right? He has been able to flip the confidence and just the mentality around that program in a way that I've never seen anybody do it. It has been, if you had told me this was going to happen, I would have never believed you.
Right.
Chris, I want you to turn your Vandy hat off as you represent Vandy 247 and go to your Southeastern 16 hat where you cover the conference. I've thoroughly have enjoyed asking this question all week to beat writers and folks that cover college football. Right now, this can change 3 times in the next 6 minutes because things are moving so incredibly fast with the coaching carousel. But if you had to put a percentage on Lane Kiffin going to Florida, Lane Kiffin going to LSU, or Lane Kiffin staying in Oxford, what are those percentages this second?
It's funny. I knew the question before you asked me. How did that happen? It's because anybody's all kidding. That's the topic. I mean, I was
Everyone's
listening
talking about it.
Yeah, and the guys that I listen to, Neil McCready and Chase Parham,
Been listening a lot to them.
Yeah, they are. I think they're as good at running a team site and team media, including podcasts, as anybody in the business. Was listening to an episode they did, I think, last night. And it's gone with them from, they thought he was staying to if you read the tea leaves, it sure feels like he's going to LSU. I'm going to kind of ride with them on that. But I mean, who knows?
Right.
I don't know why at this point. I don't know what much more Lane Kiffin could get out of Ole Miss than he's already got. I mean, they've been tremendous to him. He's won at a big level without the baggage that comes at an LSU and a Florida from a program standpoint and the expectations. So in my mind, I think he should stay. But my guess is if it's dragged out this long and he's not made a decision, there might be a good reason for that.
So, Chris, I do want to ask you, going back to the game on Saturday, and I think this is where the game is going to be won. It is going to be the really good play of the Kentucky defense going up against Diego Pavia and that Vanderbilt offense. Talk about that matchup, please.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think you really. Vanderbilt hasn't been stopped that often. The only time we really saw it happen was the second half of the Alabama game and most of the first half of the Texas game. I mean, I don't know if most people know this. You could make a case that's the best offense in the league. They're averaging 7.2 a play. That's the best in the league. And then they played some great defenses nationally. They played Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, even South Carolina has been pretty good. So I don't know that Kentucky stops them. The question is, can you slow them enough? I think that the bigger matchup is on the other side where Vanderbilt's defense has been leaky. But I think where Kentucky can maybe influence the game a little bit is Vanderbilt's turned the ball over at times. That's what lost them the Alabama game. It's what kept them behind in the Virginia Tech game early. Like, they turned it over against Texas early in a big way. They had a turnover against Auburn. I think, to me, I don't think Kentucky stops him, but can Kentucky force some turnovers and maybe win a field position game with him that's hard to do?
Chris, how do you ultimately see it playing out between Vanderbilt and Kentucky? Vanderbilt is still trying to to serve hold and try to get into the playoffs, and Kentucky is trying to become bowl eligible after going 4-8 last season. How do you see it playing out?
I think Vanderbilt gets the win tomorrow. Vanderbilt's unbeaten at home for the first time since, I don't know, maybe 1982. Yeah, it's been a minute. They played really well at home.
Right.
Yeah, they've been great. I think they are probably going to be, well rested, and I think they win and maybe beat the number.
And Chris, let me also finish up by asking you this. What would it do for a program like Vanderbilt if they were able to sneak into the playoffs?
Uh, it would be unprecedented. I mean, it would give you more national attention for several weeks. They've been the feel-good story, maybe of college football since they beat Alabama a week ago. It's proof of concept for recruits
Yeah.
that they can be nationally relevant. Those kind of things. I mean, it would be an absolute program changer for them.
Yes.
Chris, as we walk out the door, I was caught way off guard this morning. Ron Fowler has reported from a Penn State beat reporter named John Saber that writes for the Century Daily Times at Penn State. Kalen DeBoer is the target for one head coaching job at Penn State and Happy Valley. I snickered and laughed because all the Bama fans were praying and hoping that this might happen. If this happens, the coaching carousel is already crazy.
Yeah.
But if this happens, I mean, what can we expect just from SEC? Because there's going to be a turnover anyway. There's already several jobs open. There could be some more. Just touch base briefly on the coaching head jobs in the SEC, and if Kalen DeBoer happens to leave for Happy Valley. I'm kind of laughing at it. I don't think it will happen, but it's making me laugh.
I didn't see that one coming. I'll say this. I feel like he's a good coach. I think he's a really good coach. He's following the best coach in the history of college football. You have one more hiccup at Alabama, and they're going to want you gone. I think if I'm him, I would think about jumping at that. Sometimes the situation just doesn't work in a season. I think that's it. I mean, he had a higher winning percentage when he got to Alabama than Nick Saban did. Now, look, Nick Saban had played much tougher competition across the course of his career, but that's hard to do in any circumstance. So I think to me, man, that would I don't even I can't even get my mind around how many dominoes that would cause to shift.
It's just blowing my mind. I live here basically. I'm 45 minutes away from Oxford, and I'm hearing all these crazy excuses that Lane Kiffin's not leaving. This is a work. He's just doing this to bring in NIL guys from Florida and LSU, which I immediately laughed at. But then some of the realistic Ole Miss fans, they're just to hear them like, I don't know who we're going to go get. I don't know who we can get. I don't know who. I was like, well, you're in a better situation than when you were coming off Matt Luke. Remember, no one wanted the job in America. You couldn't get anyone to interview, and they gave the job to Matt Luke because he was the interim, and you couldn't find anybody else.
Yeah.
You're in a much better situation than where you were then with Kiffin. So with that, you have any ideas where Ole Miss might go if they have to replace Kiffin?
I mean, I would think John Sumrall would be on the list. He's on everybody's list. I don't know if Kane Womack would be a possibility. I would think that if I'm Arkansas, that might be where I go because I don't know how coveted that job is. I don't know if I'm like another domino, Eli Drinkwitz. Like I thought when you brought up Penn State, that might be the guy you were going to talk about because I think they've warmed up to the idea of him. And I've heard Eli's name linked to a lot of places, which makes me think he wouldn't mind getting out. I don't know how big of an upgrade Ole Miss is over Missouri. I think it's probably a little better job right now. I mean, and if you're Ole Miss, I think Keith Carter's done a fantastic job there.
Yeah, he has.
I think he's really done a good job. And like you're looking across this world of college football craziness where you've got just the landscape. You got the governor in Louisiana. Like Ole Miss feels like a very stable and calm situation. So I would think that'd be an attractive job.
Chris, as always, thank you for taking time to join us. Go and enjoy covering Kentucky and Vanderbilt there inside the stadium tomorrow for Vandy 247. And we would love to catch up with you one day next week to talk about the annual rivalry game with the Volunteers of Tennessee.
You bet. Be happy to do it, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your audience.
Happy Thanksgiving, and we will definitely catch up with you next week, okay?
You bet.
See you, Chris.
See you guys.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up the interview there with the home team of the Vanderbilt Commodores. Right after this, we are going to be joined by Nick Rouch from Kentucky Sports Radio to talk about the Wildcats of Kentucky. We all enjoy the changing of the seasons. Fall is a special time to be thankful for our families and many blessings. It is also a great time, though, to review your insurance coverages. Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. The more you protect, the more you save. With helpful customer service teams right here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide the insurance plan that provides the protection that you need. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee or drop by his office at 202 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, with Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save. And with that, we are about to transition over to the Kentucky Wildcats, who are coming into this game off of a 3-game win streak, going up against Vanderbilt. And in Nashville, the Wildcats have won the last 4 meetings, all by 17 points or more. However, this is not your old Vanderbilt football team. To break down this game from the Kentucky Wildcats side and to see if Kentucky can get its 6th win on the season and become bowl eligible, here is Kentucky Sports Radio's own Nick Rouch. Nick, how are things with you in the Bluegrass State, my friend?
It's been raining here most of the week, so we're excited to get down to sunny Nashville, the Music City, for a high stakes affair. It's weird, Heath. I don't think too many people would ever suspect that Vanderbilt, Kentucky is the biggest game in the SEC this week, but that's where we are. Kentucky and Vanderbilt are playing in the SEC's biggest game of the week.
Nick, I might like Stoops more than most Kentucky fans. Stoops can just, if you've got a quarterback that's going good or a young quarterback, you don't want to face Stoops. Look at Jackson Dart last year in Ole Miss. Stoops walked into Oxford, punched Lane Kiffin in the mouth, slapped Jackson Dart down, dared him to do anything about it. They couldn't, and he walks out with the win. He didn't do much last season, but he did do that, and he kept Ole Miss out of the playoffs. That's the kind of thing that if you start playing Stoops' game, he's going to make you look miserable. He makes you play his game, and if you play his game, he's going to make you look miserable. Secret is don't even try to get into that wheelhouse and play his game. With that being said, Diego Pavia, we all love him. We've all enjoyed watching this guy play the last 2 years, the upsets and beating Alabama last year and all the fun that he's had this year. He's just fun to watch. With that, I just think this is going to be one of the greatest games this season because I think Stoops is going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Diego, and we all know how Diego is going to react. He's going to react to typical Diego, and he's going to fight for every square inch on that field. This game is going to come down to what, Nick?
I think it's the point you made is a good one, and also one that's unusual because I think Vandy wants to kind of play the same style, where it's a limited possession game. It's nip and tuck throughout. You've got to value the ball. I think it was 2 SEC media days ago where Clark Lee said that he kind of remodeled the Vanderbilt rebuild after what Stoops did at Kentucky. And you really see it with their physical style of play, the ball control offense. And for me, we on our weekly show, 11 Personnel, we broke down the game for, an hour. But ultimately, there's like 5 things, and it's all situational football. It's turnovers, 3rd down, 4th down. And really, that's what it comes down to me is which team executes in critical situations. in those third and fourth downs. Cutter Boley has the best completion percentage in the SEC on third down, and they've been converting in short yardage situations. I want to say that 10 out of their last 12 trips to the red zone have resulted in touchdowns, and one of those was that they didn't score was with the twos in late in an FCS blowout. So making the most out of every possession, that's really what it comes down to, right? If you can force a Vandy field goal here and there instead of a touchdown and you get the touchdowns, that's where it makes all the difference in the world. And just getting off the field, because I mean, you watch that Missouri game down late and you just knew Pavia was going to find a way to punch it in. Even when it was third and short, fourth and short, it's like he's going to find a way. Getting off the field is paramount for this Kentucky defense that's entered in this game very banged up, particularly in the secondary.
So, Nick, let's go ahead and talk about the last month of the season. This past month, about a month ago, you looked at this game and you were like, wow, this is going to be an easy win for Vanderbilt. However, Kentucky has rolled off 3 straight wins against Auburn, against Florida, and against Tennessee Tech. Talk about this streak that they are on of winning 3 in a row, please.
A big part of it is it starts with defense. In the Florida and Auburn games, they only got points off turnovers. Kentucky muffs a punt at Florida, gives them a short field, and then Cutter Boley threw a pick in a 2-minute drive that gave the Tigers 3 points. But really, it starts with the defense being at their best, right? Playing like a traditional Mark Stoops defense. And then on the other side, it's just Cutter Boley just keeps getting better week after week after week. It wasn't pretty against Auburn, but Stoops commended him. Sometimes you just got to grind your way out of a win. He orchestrated the 1 touchdown drive coming out of halftime that got it done. So I think for me, the only box that's really left unchecked for Boley is playing well on the road. He's got 3 road games, but his first 2 starts were on the road at South Carolina. He had a pick 6 and he got strip sacked. That was bad. Georgia's Georgia. He goes to Auburn, doesn't play well, but does enough to win. Now, can he be as efficient as he's been at Kroger Field? He's completing somewhere around 80% of his passes over the last 4 starts at Kroger Field. So can he continue to be efficient and accurate, not get rattled on the road in what will be a sold-out crowd at First Bank Stadium? That's the big question I have. And then I think the final piece of the puzzle is they've been able to run the ball, and that can help out a redshirt freshman a lot if you're running the football. I believe it's back-to-back games with 200 yards rushing, and then they get about 200 yards passing. That makes it really, really hard to defend. And that Vanderbilt defense, they've been giving up some points this year.
Yes.
Nick, looking at this from an offensive point of view, take out Cutter Boley. What are the weapons that Kentucky will use in this game against Vanderbilt? Who is prime to have a great game with what Vanderbilt will throw at you defensively?
Kendrick Law has been awesome. He really has. He's kind of a bulldog, right? Like when you think of a receiver, a top-notch SEC receiver, you think of guys who are just running by people who are, juking around guys. This guy's just going to run over your ass, right? He is a very, very physical player, and I don't know his average depth of target, but at one point in the season, 90% of his passes were at or near the line of scrimmage, right? They are going to throw the ball short and essentially make him an extension of the running game, and that puts a lot of stress on a defense because what happens is they start creeping up to take that away and then hit you over the top. And outside of Law, the other guys have really stepped up, whether it's the freshman Millers, Cam Miller's the slot, and DJ Miller. He's a big 6'3" target on the outside. And then some of the vets, in the Auburn game, Fred Ferrier, like this is a UAB transfer who's from the state, who doesn't really wow you a ton. But on a Kentucky scoring drive, he had 2 huge receptions on third down. Jamori Macklin, he hasn't had the best year, but man, he stayed engaged. They find ways to be where they need to be in those critical situations. This week, talked to offensive coordinator Bush Hamden about it, and it's really an unselfish group where they kind of spread the wealth. So I know the Vanderbilt defense will be keying in on number one, and he's going to get a lion's share of the targets. He had a career high 11 catches for 124 yards a week ago. But Boley spreads the wealth, and he trusts his wide receivers to make plays when he's called upon. If you can get a big explosive reception from Hardly Gilmore, the second-year player from Florida, he's got some juice. If you can get one of those explosive plays, it can make a big difference in this game on Saturday.
So, if you would, Nick, talk about the matchup of Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt offense going up against the Kentucky defense that has been really strong on this 3-game win streak.
I'll start just by talking about the injuries because it's right now. Kentucky has one nickel. If he gets hurt, I guess they're playing big. I don't know, because after that, safety Jordan Lovett, he had started in 41 career games. He suffered a season-ending injury against Florida. So now you're down to 2 safeties and then some freshmen behind him. So they're really thin there. And then at cornerback, I mean, it has been DJ Waller started the year, hurt his hamstring in week 1, hasn't been back, won't be back. Ryan Nichols has missed the last 3 games, and it's 50-50 kind of toss-up. They need him back because one of the guys they started behind him, he was hurt last week, and they'd like to keep a red shirt on him. I don't know if he's going to even be healthy enough to play. If he could, they had to start a true freshman. So they're very thin in the secondary right now, and that could be huge against a Vanderbilt team that's really thrown the ball a ton. But the one thing that Kentucky has going for them is their defensive line has really anchored everything this year. There's not one guy who's just doing everything and wrecking it. And I think that's what's really helped them, is that it's a collective effort between their front 4 and the outside linebackers they got rotating in. Steven Souls and Cam Olds are great in the pass rush. Queese Humphrey Grace and Quill Saunders are big physical guys that also got enough juice at them to get after the quarterback. And really, to me, it's just Diego Pavia is so good at getting away from tackles, man. That guy, he's just slippery. He faces a ton of pressure, but it doesn't matter. So can you get him to the ground, right? You're not going to sack him 7 times like they did at Auburn a couple of weeks back, but can you hit him early, right? Can you make him feel the defense? And then a lot of it just goes back to those critical situations. Can you get off the field on 3rd down if you get one of those sacks, right?
Right.
It's 2nd 2 and you make it 3rd and 11, you got to get off the field. If it's 3rd and 2, can you get his ass to grass? That I think is where the difference in the game can be made, is Kentucky getting home and not just playing close. This defense has been great against the run, except when quarterbacks find a way to break a tackle and then turn it into a big play.
So, Nick, I do want to ask you, Kentucky is sitting here at 5-5. They've got an 8-2 Vanderbilt team this weekend, and then potentially a 7-3 or 8-3 because Louisville plays SMU tomorrow. What % chance do you give Kentucky of making a bowl game with a record of 6-6 or potentially even 7-5?
I'm feeling confident, guys.
Okay.
I'm feeling real confident.
Last time you did this, you nailed it.
I probably only give him about a 40% chance of winning this weekend,
okay.
Because Diego Pavia is Diego Pavia. He finds ways to pull rabbits out of a hat. But I really like the way things are trending for that Louisville game. Isaac Brown's likely out for the year. He's instant offense. Right? He can just give him 2 yards, a little bit of daylight, he can take it to the house. He's probably out for the year. Even without him, Keywan Brown's been awesome, and now he's out. Miller Moss is questionable. It feels like the wheels are shaking at Louisville, and they might just pop off. Mark Stoops is really good at getting his team up for that game. So even if Kentucky can't pull it out this week, I'm confident that they can get it done in that rivalry game next week in Louisville.
So what % chance do you have them going to a bowl?
Oh, like 75%. I'm ready to go walking in Memphis, right? We in the Liberty Bowl.
Let me know. We'll eat some barbecue together, brother.
There we go.
All right. So if you would give us a score prediction of Vanderbilt and Kentucky for tomorrow, please.
I'm expecting this to be a fun football game. One of those that even if you're not locked into it, third quarter comes around, you're checking scores, and you say, "Oh, this one's pretty close." Ultimately, though, I think Pavia is going to make too many plays down the stretch, and the Commodores are able to survive and advance with a 28-27 win. This is going to be nip and tuck right down to the wire.
Wow. All right, Nick, I've been asking everybody this. You know where I'm going with it. We had Graham Hall on earlier this week, and of course, everything can change 30 seconds from now. It is currently, 9:17 a.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
So everything can change by 9:19 in the world in this coaching carousel. But Graham Hall earlier this week, he said, I am 70% certain Lane Kiffin's going to be the head coach here in Gainesville. And it looks like that's not going to happen. Graham covers the Gators for 247 Sports. And then you look at everything happened at LSU. Now this morning we got DeBoer talking about taking this Penn State job. He's the front runner, which is blowing my mind. There's so many things going out, but we'll keep it to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
What are your percentages on Lane Kiffin being the head coach at Florida, being the head coach at LSU, or staying where he's at and being head coach of Ole Miss next year?
When all of this first happened, I was certain that he was going to leave for Florida because, I mean, he said it all the time. He loves Steve Spurrier. Why would he turn down the chance to go back to the Sunshine State and coach at Steve Spurrier Field? But he kept winning games, right? And for Florida to be able to get Lane Kiffin to be their head coach, they had to go beat Ole Miss, and they did it.
Right.
Ole Miss is just going to keep winning, and he's going to stay at Ole Miss, right? You're not going to leave a college football playoff team, particularly in a year where would it shock you if Ole Miss won the whole damn thing?
No.
You know, like the defense has played well enough, particularly against the run. And I know Trinidad Chambliss is, you know, some of the shininess has worn off there, but Ole Miss is going to end up being the 5 or the 6 seed. And if you're the 5 seed, you're playing at home against the G5 team, you win, and then you're in a college football playoff game on January 1. The portal opens on January 2. These schools can't afford to wait around that long to see if they can get Lane Kiffin. I think Lane's just going to keep on winning until all those jobs are filled. So I'm saying it's a 80% chance he's staying in Oxford next year.
Wow. Okay. Everyone has a different answer for a different school. This is what blows my mind about this. And I even made this joke to my Ole Miss friend, a guy I grew up across the street from. We text every day. And I said, watch Kiffin take the LSU job and leave before the playoff. And then all of a sudden the Giants come calling from New York, and him and Jackson Dart are reunited. He's back in the NFL. Like, he's the head coach for LSU for like 10 days. And now Ole Miss and LSU and everybody in college football just absolutely despise and hate him all over again.
So, Nick, before we walk out the door, I do want to ask you, because there is another major sport ongoing in the SEC, that is the hardwood of basketball. Please give us a recap of what you've seen so far through 5 games of this Kentucky basketball team, as they are 3-2 right now.
Well, that's enough time. We got to sign off, Steven. See you tomorrow.
It ain't good. I was part of me was worried going into the season where Mark Pope wanted to make depth the strength of the team, but the sword cuts both ways because you have to have. If you try to play too many guys and they can't get into a rhythm, you get mismatch rotations. And that's been the case for their 2 high-profile matchups where it's hard for them to find a groove. Granted, they're dealing with injuries. They've been without their point guard, Jalen Lowe, for all but one of those games against Louisville. He's been hurt the whole time. So it's it's tough sledding right now. They're still trying to find themselves, and they got to do it in a hurry because in less than 2 weeks they'll play North Carolina and then Gonzaga, and then Indiana's right around the corner from that. So they failed their first 2 tests miserably. They were able to come back and make it somewhat respectable against Louisville, but that Michigan State game was ugly. It does. The Mark Pope team that we saw a year ago that played with space and made a lot of shots, that's not what we've seen so far. That coach has a lot to figure out in a hurry because right now, Big Blue Nation, they're not happy. They're not happy with what they've seen from this Kentucky basketball team.
But Nick, at least they've got some football hope.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully go to a bowl game, my friend.
Man, Mark Stoops isn't the hero we deserve, but he's the hero we need.
Dude, man, thank you as always. This has been a blast. Thank you for talking a little bit of Big Blue Nation with us. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and we would love to catch up with you later on, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, too. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Nick, before you run out, I got to ask, you think Kalen DeBoer is going to interview at Penn State or take this job?
No. It's fun, though. It's a carousel. It's fun. You never know what's real and what isn't.
Thank you, Nick, buddy. Bye.
See you guys.
Be good, Nick.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up the Stingray Show right here on this Friday. We are going to run one of our advertisements, and then Heath, you and I will talk about the post show, and I have a little bit of a surprise for you because I'm not going to tell you what our post show discussion is going to be about.
You never tell me anything. You always keep me in the dark.
For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. So Heath, this evening, you are going to be on a plane going to Key West. However, in about 12 hours from right now, can you guess what game is going to be kicking off that is going to be a barn burner?
See, 12 hours from now? Oh, man. That's 9:30 at night. With it being so late, I'm going to say it's going to be on the West Coast somewhere. Is it going to be on the West Coast?
Yes.
Is it going to be Mountain Time or West Coast time?
It is going to be 9:30 Central Time. It's when they're kicking off.
And so, yeah, but that could lead. If it's Mountain Time, that's just an hour back, which would be 8:30. Which you can have kickoffs at 8:30, and then you got out west that'd be 7:30. So I'm going to go West Coast. I have no idea. Is it going to be the Apple Cup? I have no idea.
It is going to be the 8-2 Fighting Dan Mullins of UNLV hosting the surprise team of the Mountain West this year, the 7-3 Timmy Chang's Hawaii Rainbow Warriors there in Las Vegas. 7-3 Hawaii at 8-2 UNLV. That is going to be one hell of a football game this evening, and I will tell you this. I am going Hawaii in the upset here because Dan Mullen's defense has not been good this year for UNLV. The 2 games that they have lost, they have been completely gashed in both of those games. Give me Timmy Chang and the Rainbow Warriors going into Vegas and knocking off UNLV, but I definitely will be watching this game in 12 hours as it will be on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, that will be a fun one. I did not know that game was tonight.
Yes.
And Timmy Chang, look, if you guys don't remember Timmy Chang,
Yeah.
he is one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. I want to say he did set
He
the
did.
all-time all-purpose yards record there at Hawaii when he played quarterback. Now he also threw every single down.
Yeah.
So I want to say he had over 10,000 yards as a junior and came back and put some more on. So there's only a couple of players that have gotten 10,000 yards in college football. I mean, that list is it's grown over the years thanks to, the spread and
Right.
other offenses, and we're more offensive neutral now. But back before then, it was Timmy Chang, and I mean, he might have been the first, or he was one of the very few, if not the first, to break that 10,000 career mark, 10,000 yard career mark. So Timmy Chang knows offense, man. He's back at Hawaii.
Yeah.
They're winning again. You got to love
Yes.
the Warriors. If you get some time on this fun fried bologna Friday here, this gloomy Friday, pull up some Timmy Chang highlights at Hawaii. Pull them up on YouTube. The guy could sling it, man. He really could. He was a fun quarterback to watch. I think Norm Chow was his OC back in the day. He spent a lot of time in the NFL, but Norm Chow was his OC. Timmy Chang at quarterback. That was a lot of fun.
And Heath, I'm going Hawaii. Who are you going with?
I watched a lot of UNLV to start the season. I haven't watched them. I know they lost to Boise State, I think. I think that was their first loss.
Yep.
I don't know who their second loss was.
New
I have
Mexico.
no idea. They lost to New Mexico?
Yep. But now New Mexico is a really good football team. I think they've got 7 wins as well.
There you go. So, that's a good thing, because if you do my thing that I always do, if games that you're not sure about or you don't know about, you say, which team has the better quarterback?
Hawaii.
There you go. Which team has the better head coach? Yeah, I'm going to lean
Mullen.
Mullen over Chang. What team's playing at home? UNLV.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the running reps. 2 out of 3. Whoever gets 2 out of 3 of who's the better quarterback, who has the better head coach, and who's playing at home, whoever gets 2 out of 3, that's who you go with. And that usually works about 90% of the time.
All right, Heath, here is a shocker for everybody that really doesn't care, but we're going to talk about it. For years, Boise State has run the Mountain West. They are 3rd this year in the Mountain West standings. Heath, can you tell me who is number 1?
I have no clue.
You used to live there.
What, the Aztecs?
The Aztecs of San Diego State are 5-1 in conference, and they are overall 8-2.
Wow. I've always made the joke, but it has some common sense to it. It is a joke, though, that if the SEC was going to expand, they should, if it's strictly about eyeballs and TV sets, take Hawaii into the SEC.
Yeah.
Because we would all watch it. We would all, especially with Hawaii, what they're doing right now with Timmy Chang, and you start giving them some SEC athletes. And I made this statement like 15 years ago, and I've been saying it ever since. But if you bring in Hawaii into the conference, they would start stealing all, back then, Pac-10 talent.
Yeah.
They start stealing all the talent out of the Pac-10 because they'd all want to go play at Hawaii because it's an SEC school.
Yeah.
But the eyeballs, if it's about strictly eyeballs and TV sets, you take Hawaii.
Yes.
Because everyone's watching that game anyway, late at night. And think what you could do with that. Hawaii gets to start a week earlier in the season. You send 2 SEC teams out there to play like on a Thursday night to start the season. So you get those 2. They come over here and play their 4 road games back to back to back to back, and then they go back home and play their 2 home games. Well, now we get 9 games.
Right.
So, but basically Hawaii's like on the road like late September, early October, and then they're back on the island and they get their non-conference game. Like this could easily work.
Yeah.
And we could add the Hawaii Bowl for the SEC bowl plan. I mean, there's so many great things that you could do with this. But I always said you could do that, and this was back when Boise State was killing everybody. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when Boise State was the hot, group of 5 team. But at Boise State, at Hawaii, I wouldn't add Boise State now. Right. But, I would be willing to add a San Diego State just to change it up, to put a footprint out there on the West Coast.
Heath, to wrap this up, we are going into week 13 of college football. Can you tell me, I'm going to run through the Power 5, Power 4 conferences, and I want you to tell me if you can guess who the conference championships would be if it started today.
Oh, wow.
Let's start with the ACC.
Good Lord. I don't even know. Hey, did you hear that crazy rumor? I'm not buying this rumor. The DeBoer and Penn State talking, I will buy them talking. I'll buy that rumor all day. But did you buy that Dabo interviewed at Arkansas?
No.
Not buying it. Not
No.
buying it.
All right. In the ACC, the top 2 teams right now, the Wahoos of Virginia and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I see that. Georgia Tech number 1, Virginia number 2. Pitt right there at number 3, SMU right there behind them.
Yep.
So SMU and Pitt could slide into the championship game. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on.
All right, Big 12.
I know Texas Tech's having a good season. Let's see. Don't tell me. It's not Houston, although they've had a good season. BYU and Texas Tech. That's what I'm going to go with.
That is correct. If it ended today, it would be Texas Tech and BYU in a rematch from a few weeks ago where Texas Tech blew them out.
Does Utah have 1 or 2 losses out there? I'm going to guess 2. I don't know who the 2 losses are. Yeah,
2.
There you go.
All right, Big 10.
Oh man. Of course, Indiana and Ohio State.
Correct.
Yeah, that one's an easy one.
And right behind them, the Fighting Lincoln Rileys of USC and then Oregon.
Oh, wow.
All right. Let's see. All right, and finally, we will wrap up with the SEC.
Dude, I was looking at this in great detail starting last week to see what scenarios and tiebreakers and things. A&M and Georgia, which I think would be a phenomenal game.
Yes.
I think that would be a great game. I think Georgia has not seen a team as strong and as physical as Texas A&M. I don't think A&M has seen a team as talented as Georgia. And I think they'd just beat the snot out of each other, and we would all sit there and enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
I will say this. I do think that game could be a blowout. I don't know which way.
Right.
But I could see that game, the SEC championship, turning into a blowout one way or another. Ole Miss right there in 3rd place, Alabama right there in 4th place. And I was looking, I was like, what does Alabama and Ole Miss have to do to jump, Georgia and A&M? So, of course, Georgia loses. No, Georgia's done with their schedule. They get their 8 games in. So Georgia can't lose. So Georgia's in.
So, Heath, if it ended today, sorry, Ole Miss, sorry, Alabama, you guys are out.
Stephen, I just now thought about this. A&M doesn't have a loss at all. I think they can lose and still be in the championship game because they'll still be 7-1.
Right.
So I'll have to look at that. I might look at that on a plane flying to the Florida Keys.
Well, Heath, go and enjoy the Florida Keys for all of us. And for a quick reminder, next week is Thanksgiving. We're doing shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. We're not doing one on Thursday and we're not doing one on Friday. Heath, you are going to be gone for the majority of next week, so you will not be with us for Rivalry Week when we discuss college football and the rivalries. So Heath will return with us the Monday after Selection Sunday. However, the Stingray Show will continue on Monday morning with another show to preview either Alabama and Auburn or Georgia and Georgia Tech. We are covering 3 major playoff implication games next week. We are doing live Alabama and Auburn. We are doing Texas and Texas A&M, and we're doing Georgia and Georgia Tech. That will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Heath, enjoy the Key West down there for all of us, and the Stingray Show will see you on Monday, and enjoy your college football out there, everyone, because we've only got 2 full weekends left of college football before the bowl games and the playoffs begin.
Yeah, and Stephen, we're almost exactly 1 week out, almost to the minute, for the Black Friday Egg Bowl that no one wants this game to be on. Everybody wants this game to either be on Thanksgiving or on Saturday. And they say, nope, Black Friday's the best we can do. So thank you to Mickey Mouse and ESPN for screwing all the fans and making life miserable.
Yes.
But, Stephen, I got a great feeling next week. I think you're going to be talking about a lot of coaching rumors. I think there's going to be some that pop up. I think there'll be some that die off. Which ones, I have no clue. But I think we might get a little bit of an idea who's going to be at Florida and Arkansas. It's just a guess. I don't know anything. But I think we're going to know who the head man's going to be at both of those places by the time we have Thanksgiving dinner. Just a guess.
Heath, I will leave you with this, and I am 100% confident on it. Dabo is not going to Arkansas. You can take that to the bank. Give me a break.
I know there's a lot of people upset with Dabo up there. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that situation is crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if Dabo left Clemson.
But not for Arkansas. That would be a step down.
It's crazy, man. But you know what? He might go just like John Calipari. I didn't think about this, Stephen. We're going to end on this note. Just like John Calipari felt disrespected and not loved anymore when he was at Kentucky, when he's over in Lexington, Dabo Swinney not feeling the love and respected anymore over at Clemson. And do they both end up at Arkansas? I don't think he does. But that's the card Arkansas could play. He's like, look how happy Cal is. Come on over here. Why don't you – hey, if Arkansas tells Cal to talk to Dabo, Cal can sell anything. I'm still in the Chris Farley line. He can sell a ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo wearing white gloves.
Yeah.
I mean, Cal could sell Dabo that. I don't think it'll happen in a million years, but how funny would it be? But I'm not buying it.
All right. So, guys, we will see you Monday morning. We will not see Heath. He will be soaking up the rays in Key West. But the Stingray Show must go on. Enjoy your time in Key West, my friend. And we will see you a week from Monday. And the Stingray Show, though, will continue Monday morning with a preview of the rivalry games that begin next weekend.
Stephen, I love you, brother. Be good. Enjoy your weekend. Stay dry. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
And Heath, let me also say this as well. You will not be with us last week, like I've said. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thank you, my friend. I'm going to go celebrate my 21st birthday.
That's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. I am representing a clothing company right here in Tuscaloosa that is called J&J Apparel. If you like the Mississippi State shirt that I have on, you can find all of their Mississippi State apparel as well as Auburn, Alabama, and Ole Miss at jnjapparel.com. They are located right here in Tuscaloosa, but they also have other merchandise for other SEC schools as well. So once again, if you do like this polo that I've got on and the Walking Bulldog, go to jnjapparel.com and get all of your SEC merch right there for Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, and Mississippi State with J&J Apparel. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. We all enjoy the changing of the seasons. Fall is a special time to be thankful for our families and many blessings. It is also a great time, though, to review your insurance coverages. Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. The more you protect, the more you save. With helpful customer service teams right here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide the insurance plan that provides the protection that you need. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee or drop by his office at 202 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, with Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save. The Thanksgiving holiday is fastly approaching, and if you have a large family coming to your house, let the Coker Market take the hassle out of the Thanksgiving dinner for you. You can order from the Coker Market smoked turkey breast, smoked half a ham, a Boston butt, wings by the dozen, tenders by the dozen, or sausage balls. Now with casseroles, which you just take and bake, sweet potato casserole, cornbread dressing, and green bean casserole. They also offer baked beans, potato salad, and yeast rolls. You can find them at County Road 140 in Coker, Alabama at the intersection of Romulus Road at the four-way intersection, or you can call to get your order done at 205-331-5066. Once again, that is 331-5066. Let the Coker Market take the hassle out of the Thanksgiving dinner for you this holiday season.